Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and push that gray bell and it'll alert you anytime I upload a video, which, despite my promises, has not been that often. I'm trying. In fact, my mother said that from a very early age I was a very trying person, so keep that in mind. Anyway, Mama Dawn's advice. Here we go. There's actually sort of a combined thing I want to cover today. I titled this video, How Do You Expect Anybody to Hear You If You're Not Willing to Listen? The reason why I titled that, I have a firm belief and I've developed my convictions from observations and definitely watching what goes on social media. It seems that a lot of people, and oftentimes me included, we, in a conversation, we don't listen to hear the person. We only listen for our turn to talk. And I think that is causing a huge disconnect. And that gets on to the other reason I wanted to make this video. A lot of my friends and people that I've spoken to, my African American brothers and sisters, because I'm biracial, their general attitude is we're not going to discuss racism with white people anymore. You can't win. They don't listen. It just doesn't get you anywhere. Here's the thing though. Two things actually. One, nothing is going to change if we stop talking. It's just how it is. The civil rights movement happened because people got out and did something and they demanded that their voices be heard. If we as a community stop talking because we feel as if no one is going to understand, then things will remain the same. Now, I've seen how some people approach the subject of white privilege and racism when they are discussing it with other people. And again, I believe that there's a strong disconnect in the way that we are communicating. When you say something inflammatory, it doesn't matter that you may not be personally or knowingly aim it at the other person. However, when it's a black person talking to a white person and you're discussing race and white privilege, it is extremely easy to bundle your words in a manner that the other person goes on the offensive. And if you are constantly on the offensive, you're not really listening. So we need to find different wording to get our point across, because here's the fact. Social injustices are not going to change without help from white America, period. We can't do this alone. We need their help. So we're not helping ourselves by alienating white people by coming at them. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, we tried it this way, I tried it that way, and it's not my fault. They took it the way they did. Okay, here's the thing, and I'm going to give you a good example. My best friend who passed away, her husband, I love him, I adore him. He means the world to me. We've been friends for 30 years now. He sometimes says stuff that hurts my feelings. And when I tell him that, his go-to answer is, that's not my fault, that's how you took it, or I don't care. He loves to tell me that he just doesn't care. And to explain this, I am a storyteller. I have a great imagination. I am very good at taking my inner feelings and turning them into words and putting them out there. Demont is the kind of person where he wants things condensed. Okay? If I post something, if it's not a joke, a really quick joke, he says he's not going to read it. I had an article, the first article I had published, it took me forever to get him to read it because it was more than, as he says, a few sentences. Now, what he doesn't understand, he's an artist, a very, very talented artist. And I often compliment him on his work. Most times I'm blown away by what he can do. Demont is an artist. What he fails to see that I'm an artist as well through my writing, also through the jokes that I tell, but mostly through my writing. So when he tells me, well, I'm not going to read it, I don't care to read it, that hurts my feelings. When I tell him I feel a certain way about something and he says, I don't care. And he was very adamant in telling me, and I believe this, that a man cannot care about what you're saying and still care about you, okay? But we go back to, we have to watch sometimes how we say things. When Demont says those things, it hurts my feelings and he puts it upon me. I do not like that. And ironically, there's been a couple times, for example, one of my good Irish friends, I call him Dummy. I go, Dummy, would you stop it? No big deal. I only call the people that I love Dummy. It's sort of like a, an affectionate term. One time I called Demont that, and he went off. Do not call me Dummy, no. And then another time I was telling him about my childhood and how they used to use the N-word, and they took my maiden name, which is Nordheim, and they called me Niggerheim, okay? And I told him that. He went off again, saying, I don't like that word, you don't ever use that word around me, that kind of thing. And I know part of it had to do that for a while, a lot of people wouldn't even acknowledge that I'm black. That's a whole different story, video for later. Anyway, I told him that the word dummy was not meant that way, and I told him that that story about what they called me is my truth and part of me, and I have a right to say it. However, because I care about him and I care about our relationship, I knew that me saying those two things upset him, so I stopped. Because I believe if someone tells you that you're doing something or saying something that is hurting them or making them uncomfortable or upsetting them, it's a real easy out to say, it's not my fault how you took it. If we are going to change things, I think we need to learn how to communicate in a way that doesn't offend the other person. Now, I know I'm going to catch slack for that because a lot of black people are going to say, we shouldn't have to do this, we shouldn't have to do that. You're right, we shouldn't. But reality is, this is how it is. And if you're not willing to find another way to communicate, the other party isn't going to understand and you've gotten nowhere. If you're going to get frustrated and choose not to communicate at all, nothing is ever going to change. Perfect example, when you try to let someone know you get to exercise white privilege. White privilege, you have that. Immediately in their mind, you're calling me a racist. I didn't do this. It's not my fault. I didn't own slaves. That's the attitude that you're going to get because you've put them on the offensive. Now, if you go to them and say, just an example, you can go into a high-end department store and shop without the guards looking at you or a sales clerk following you around, whereas someone who is of color, especially dark, would enter that department store and immediately be profiled and followed. That wouldn't happen to you because you're white. That is white privilege. You may not have started it, you may not have asked for it, but you are living in a world where you are afforded privileges that those of us of color are not. Now, let's be honest. I got lighter as I grew up, and there's a lot of white people that don't even realize I'm black. There's only been a couple times that I've been followed around a department store, but I have been called the N-word, and I grew up being beat up and abused and to the point of wanting to kill myself because I was black. Again, another video. So the purpose of this video, we need to listen to the other person. Great example, politics. I do not like Trump. People on my Facebook page know that. But I have friends that voted for him and support him. And I know that you guys do too. And for those of you watching this who are Trump supporters, this message is for you as well. I'm going to ask you, think of someone that you know who is a friend that has completely different political ideas than you. Do you know why they feel the way that they do? Do you know why that person voted for Trump? Do you know why that person hates Trump? With many of my friends, we've had conversations, why do you like Trump? And I listened because I wanted to understand where they are coming from. We cannot change anything or begin to change someone's opinion or even get them to be pliable of our ideas unless we are also willing to listen to them. And I see so much disconnect on that. I see people screaming at each other and nobody is listening. So, as the title says, how can you expect someone to hear you if you're not willing to listen? And how can you expect something to change if you're not willing to stand up and be heard? So, to my brothers and sisters out there who say, I'm not going to discuss it with a white person, I say, don't give up. Because your silence, just like the silence with what's going on in our government right now, silence is complacency. I know that it can be frustrating, but social injustice is not going to change if we remain quiet. And we are not going to be listened to if we do not know how to listen ourselves. So that's pretty much the message of this video. I got to get ready to go to work. That's Mama Dawn's advice today. Practice listening. It is a learned technique. Just practice. Hopefully we can change things. Anyway, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you soon.